Welcome back, y'all. In this video, you're going to learn how to disassemble and reassemble the Remington 870. It doesn't matter if it's a 410, a 20 gauge, or a 12 gauge. As long as it's a Remington 870, this video will work. First, pull the pump back just a little bit to open the action and clear the weapon. Then, remove the barrel nut. There's your barrel nut. With the action open, now you can pull the barrel away from the receiver. Now you're ready to remove the forend and the bolt carrier group. In order to do that, slide the bolt all the way forward, then flip the weapon up where you can see inside the receiver. Now you need to depress the left shell latch, which is this right here. Push it all the way up against the receiver, then pull the forend away from the weapon and the bolt carrier group will come out with it. Now your bolt group will pull right off of these rails, will just come right off. You're going to have your slide assembly and your bolt. The slide assembly is the silver piece and your bolt is everything else. Now you can remove the trigger assembly. That's this right here. There are two retaining pins, a big one and a small one. So flip the receiver over. You're going to need something to punch these through. I just use a metal rod and either a small hammer or a screwdriver, or in this case a pair of pliers to knock them through. If your weapon's used a little bit or you've taken it apart more, you may be able to do this just by hand, but this gun hasn't been taken apart a whole lot, so I need to hit this one all the way through. Once you have the two retaining pins out, the trigger assembly will pull straight out the bottom. And that is the full disassembly of the Remington 870. Now, we'll put it back together. We're going to start with the trigger assembly. Line the half circles up in the back, and then the trigger assembly will slide right into place. It's probably going to catch on the close side where this little metal bar sticks out. You'll have to push that metal bar in to get the trigger assembly the rest of the way in. What I like to do here is just line it up to where I can see daylight through both holes. Once you can see that well, take your retaining pins, put those back in. They should go in by hand, but in some cases you may need some help, especially on the small one, with a small hammer or a pair of pliers. Okay, now that your trigger assembly is back in, you're going to reassemble your bolt group. So take your slide assembly, put it in the bolt, make sure it is facing the right direction. Now you can take your bolt group and set it on the rails of your forend. You'll see that it has this metal notch right here that fits into the slide assembly. Make sure that is seated all the way before you try to reattach it. Now slide your forend on and put the bolt into the receiver until it stops. In order to get the bolt group to seat all the way in, you have to depress the left and the right shell latches, and it has to be done in sequence. So I'm going to show them to you here. You have your left right here. And then on the other side, you have your right. Now what you have to do is depress the right shell latch first and then push the bolt in. It's only going to go about 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4, and then it's going to stop. So right here, press it in, it goes a little bit and it stops. Now you're going to go over to the left one and push that one in, and the bolt will go the rest of the way in. And that's how you reattach it. At this point, you can put your barrel back on. You need to pull the forend back just a little bit. Get the back of the barrel in first at the receiver, and then it slides right on. Now you can put the barrel nut, also known as the magazine cap, back on. Just hand tie it. There's no reason to crank that down too much. And that is the full reassembly of the Remington 870. You're ready for a functions check. Put the weapon on safe, squeeze the trigger should not fall. Put the weapon on fire, squeeze the trigger should fall. Cock it, release the trigger, squeeze the trigger, it should fall. If it does, you put everything back together correctly, your functions check is complete. And that is the full disassembly, reassembly, and functions check of the Remington 870. As always, we appreciate y'all tuning in. If this video was informative, subscribe to our channels, and we look forward to seeing y'all next time.